Well, we had a big off-season with lots of new signings, some trades. Will that lead us to the promised land? What's on, guys? J-Hoyd back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 5 of our franchise mode with the Anaheim Ducks. So we are now in our second season here on the franchise mode, and we actually had a really good off season. So if you guys didn't see last episode, make sure you go watch that one first, because there's a lot of big things that happened last video that are going to lead up to a lot of changes entering into this season. So if you guys haven't, like I said, have not watched it, go do that now. I'll give you a second, right? Pause it. Come back, we'll be here. All right, so in this video, we're going to go through kind of the first half of this season to kind of see where we're going. But we got to start with what is the team for this year, because we did have a lot of players compete for spots, and I guess we'll leave myself right there. So first line, it looks pretty straightforward. Bertuzzi, Zegras, and Terry. Like I said, no real question about, mainly Zegras and Terry. And then I was trying to figure out who to put on the top line with Zegras and Terry, and I feel like Bertuzzi's that best option. He performed really well in the preseason with them, and I just feel like, given how the rest of our lineup kind of shapes out, that way it would be a good fit for him on that top line. Second line, DeBrusk, McTavish, and Strome. That also gives us a really good second line. So we have DeBrusk add in some scoring, got McTavish, who is considered a power forward, and then we have Strome as a playmaking right wing. Not too crazy about this second line. We might end up having to, if we wanted to, balance out the lines a little bit, potentially move like DeBrusk down to the third line so that we have some kind of depth scoring all the way through our top 9. We put Bertuzzi on the second line, maybe move Jones up to the top line, depending if we need to balance out the lineup. Speaking of Jones, he's going to be on the third line with Lundstrom and Comfer. This is the one line I don't really like, mainly because I'd like to have somebody there that's going to produce more than Jones or even Comtois would. So maybe eventually, depending on how everything shakes out, we might end up trying to get someone better for that third line role. Not that Jones can't do it. If we take a look at what he did last year, 22 points. Not awful, but 22 points, that's a little bit better than a fourth liner, but just worse than a third liner. So he's kind of that in-between role. Comtois, what did he do last year? Let's check on that. 33. So he actually did pretty well, but look at that plus minus 24. So that's something we got to look out for. Hopefully he does a little bit better this year. So we're going to kind of see how those two kind of play out on that third and fourth line. Maybe we'll go back and forth between the two. We're not exactly sure just yet. But then down there on the fourth line, we also have Grant and White, both returning from last year. So these guys kind of won the, I guess, the race to the lineup, if you will. There was definitely some competition this year for some spots. And given that some of those players that kind of outperformed our fourth liners, I think would do better in the AHL, which we'll get to in a second. But so far, this is going to be our lineup for forwards. On defense, pretty much straightforward here. Fowler and Klingberg, Lindbergh and Drysdale, O'Leary and Fabro. So now we've signed Cale Clegg. He ended up not even winning the battle. Like, he did not perform well in our lineup. So O'Leary actually played pretty well. He had a few points, was like +6 or something. Like, he actually did really well for us. So he actually earned that spot on the third line. We also have Gibson and Stolarz on the goaltender side. And then we also have Clegg up here. He performed better than some of the other defensemen. And if we send him down to the AHL, he's not really going to get a chance to play. Or we're going to be missing out on some younger guys playing. So I'm going to keep him up here. Maybe we'll rotate him and O'Leary and see who kind of plays better. And then depending on what happens there, we'll determine who actually plays throughout the pretty much the second half of the season. Quick look at the AHL here. We got Tracy down there. So a couple of players to look out for. We have Tracy. We have Grew. I'm going to go with that. Grau. I'm not sure. We have Perreault on our first line, who is an 80 overall, right? Like, pretty solid player. Other than that, I mean, we have a lot of good younger players down here that all could possibly make a appearance if injuries come up. Now, we do have them off until the trade deadline. Then we're going to turn them on, assuming we're in a running for the playoffs. But, of course, we'll get to playoffs later on. Defenseman. I may or may not have screwed up just a little bit and signed too many for our team, because that's the reason we had to. So we actually sent Brandstrom down. I think you guys remember signing him. So he got claimed off waivers. We tried to send Clay down. He went unclaimed. So we're stuck down here with a lot of defensemen. So I'm not even sure where this guy came from, but he is a draft pick of ours. He must have been in the juniors. I just didn't really account for him. So obviously I can't not hit this guy in the lineup. So he's going to be playing down there on the third line. Goaltenders down there. We got two really solid ones. Blomqvist doesn't really have the best stats in the AHL, but still 77 overall, 21-year-old goaltender. I mean, we'll take that. And even then, like, we have some guys that definitely could come into the lineup. So we got lots of guys. So they're going to have to either show up or ship out or something. So that's our team going forward. I think I talked long enough. Let's get into the year and see what happens to our team. Now, again, last year, I don't want to call it a fluke, but last year we were focused on kind of the rebuild stage. But the problem is we ended up making the playoffs. So this year our goal is to improve. And the reason I say improve is because although we made the playoffs, we didn't really want to. So if we're going to be going for the playoffs, and honestly, if we are a similar team as last year and trying to make the playoffs, then we might end up going for it. Like I said, that third line role with Comtois and with Jones, if we get to the point where we can upgrade that position and help us out for a good playoff run, then I'm down for it. So we'll have to wait and see. So I just realized I'm blocking some of the calendar here, so it'll move me a little bit smaller. Okay, 6-8 through kind of the first 14 games. Let's keep it going. All right, we're riding this out. After about two months, I say, or half the season, maybe we'll start making. Well, yeah, 2 months we'll make some changes and then kind of ride out through the second half of the first half of the year. We need a veteran presence on the team. I kind of disagree. I think we're pretty much okay. Yeah, persuaded. I mean, like, we might get someone later on, but, like, we really don't have that young of a team. Like, truly, we don't. Did I even do our trade block? I don't even know if I did. But let's go explore this trade just to see if this actually makes sense. So our luck might have come early this year. So we are actually going to change this trade around just because of the players we have in the AHL to replace some of these guys. We'd have to make a second trade to help us out. So in the order that I don't want to do that, so it looks like I didn't do the trade block this year, so I'll definitely have to do that. But Detroit is offering us Kubalik, and he's a left wing. He's 84 overall. He's 28 years old and doing well this year. So I feel like this could be a good trade. Now, the real question is, can we get him? Okay, so let's try a third. Now, I don't remember which third they originally offered. There it is, a third and a sixth along with Clegg for Kubalik. Now, Clegg wasn't playing, and even though we could have rotated him, that helps us out. It opens up a roster spot, not even a roster spot, but it helps pretty much every part of our team. Like like I said, I was not planning on making a trade this early, but it kind of worked out. So since we just made a trade and we have kind of a surprising person leading our team, I wanted to take a look and see what the rest of our team was doing and see if we need to make any changes, if one team kind of isn't trending very good or not. So what do we got? So McTavish is actually leading the way with 17 points. You know, we do have a couple guys up here, you know, higher, well, not even higher teens, but Zegras at 15. Obviously, he's our superstar. We'd like that a little bit more, but hey, let's keep going. Strome's on our second line. He's doing okay. I'm fine with that. Bertuzzi, the plus-minus on the first line, you can definitely tell. I don't want to say it's an issue, but, you know, it's still early in the season, so I'm not really going to complain too much about that. Confer on the third line, that's fine. Obviously, Kubalik we just got. Brusque with 10 points. We put Comtois out of the lineup for now. We have Jones in at the fourth line. You know, they both have this like similar stats. Like it's just a toss-up of whoever you want in there. That might even be a thing later in the year where we throw one of them in a trade and see, you know, either what we can get the most out of one of them or include them in a trade to try to get someone better. Maybe try to kind of fill in, you know, the center role. Although, you know, we have some young centers, so I don't really want to trade away youth just to trade away youth and get someone that's, you know, higher skilled unless it makes really good sense for the future of the team as well. Like, I don't want to go get a rental just to be on the second line and then have him for this year, maybe next year, but then end up either trying to trade him or do something. So we'll see. We'll see about what we want to do. So other than that, bottom six, kind of pretty straightforward. Defenseman, Klingberg leading the way. No real surprise about that. Drysdale right behind him. Not really surprised about that. Everyone else kind of doing their thing. I mean, again, we're still early. Gibson, what are you doing, bud? Okay, so you're struggling kind of big time. We might actually be in a good position if he kind of performed, honestly. So that's not good. So that's something we're definitely have to keep an eye on. Now, is that a Gibson issue? Is that like a goalie coach? Like, if I fire the goalie coach, does that matter? I don't know. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Dostal and Blomqvist, fine. Defenseman, I mean, hey, whatever works. Forwards, anyone really blown out the water? No. So nothing really too crazy happening other than Gibson. What are we doing? Right, 5 and 12, not going to do it. Right, so our backup goalie's performing well. What can we do here? Second half of the first half of the year, the second quarter, if you will. A little bit of an improvement here. We'll take the improvement. Right now, our division is so close. Our entire division is within 19 points of each other. That's pretty nuts. All right, so let's, we gotta go, what, 2 games to get to the halfway point? We'll take that. Can we finish on a positive note? Against Tampa Bay? Of course not. So once again, we sit middle of the pack. We do sit in a playoff position right now. We're in the wild card spot. By a few points. That's okay, by 3 points. So we have 1 point to catch up to the Knights. Where are they? I'm blocking them. To the Knights. Kraken 1 point as well. But we also have played 2 more games than both of them. Got a ways to catch up to the other 2. But hey, for now, we'll take that. We're doing okay. Right? 20-20-1. We're 3 points up on the Sharks. 4 points, 5 points. So, I mean, we're still in a really big battle here. So, going towards the second half of the season, let's hope that our stars become our stars. That, some guys have struggled early on this year. We can't, not talk about it, right? Some players have been struggling. But okay, let's go through and see what's happening. All player stats, all team stats. See if there's a blatant issue of why we are not performing. So our first line, Zegras and Terry, both our top 2. Bertuzzi down there, like a little bit more points out of him. Maybe we'll switch it up, try to throw either Kubalik or DeBrusk up there. Maybe that will help one of those 2 guys out. McTavish slowed down big time. Because when we were, 20 points in, I think he had, 17 points? So double that up. That he definitely has struggled a little bit there. So maybe we'll throw him with some new line mates and see where that leads us. DeBrusk, and like I said, I'd like a little bit more out of him. Comfort down there as well. Jones hasn't been really doing too much in the lineup. Had a couple points, but he's not really expected to get points either. So maybe we'll put Comtois in for a little bit, kind of rotate him through every, 5-10 games, something like that, and see how that works out. But the plus-minus has improved just a little bit, right? The second kind of quarter of the year so far has turned a little bit. Some of our stars have started to become stars again. Klingberg, Dries, pretty much the same order as before. Our third line, Levy's got 5 goals. That's interesting. -2, -4, nothing really to be too concerned about. Now, this is where we do want to be concerned here. So, not Klingberg. Gibson was 5 and 12. So, since then, he is math. What is that? 8 and 6. So, I mean, hey, we're slowly getting back on track. You know, nothing really too crazy going on. Stolara's actually performing really well as a backup. You know, we just need Gibson to step it up a little bit, right? A little bit step up, start winning way more games. AHL, quick look in. Dostal performing well. Blomqvist, not exactly sure, but either way, he's performing well. Defenseman, nothing real crazy going on. Is this our young defenseman? Yeah, so he's doing fine, like 11 points. Yeah, you're fine. Any forward sticking out? No. So, nothing really too crazy going on. Everyone kind of doing exactly what they're supposed to be, with the exception of a couple guys. But maybe going into next year, we got to do team stats as well. Can't forget about that. We just need some guys to kind of turn around. Maybe we throw some different lines at it and kind of go from there. So, Anaheim Ducks, we sit in the middle of the league. Where do we sit overall? So, we sit 18th overall. That's not horrible. So, we got to look out for 18. Goals for 127. So, middle of the pack. We're not really surprised about that. Goals against. Where are we? We're 18. Are we on either of those? So, again, middle of the pack. Goals for per game. Are we on either one of those? No, we're not. So, again, middle of the pack. Goals against per game. Okay. So, we're at 3.1 goals a game and then averaging 3 goals against per game. So, we're at 127 and 123. So, again, middle of the pack. We're playing kind of average. Power play goals, 18. Kind of midway. Power play percentage. Okay, it looks like we're middle of the pack again. Where do we sit? Okay, so 14.8%. Not the greatest. What about the rest? So a penalty kill, 82.6. That's got to be... Okay, wow. A lot of really good penalty kills out there. So probably about middle of the pack. Let's go down, look at the records here. So 82.6%, that's pretty good. We got 6 shorthanded goals. So our penalty kill's doing fine. Our power play, on the other hand, is not. So maybe we'll have to adjust some of the lines. Maybe we'll have to adjust that for who's kind of doing hot on our team. But other than that, we're kind of doing average. We're just right in the middle of the pack. We got a lot of good teams ahead of us here. The Oilers, Flames, Knights, and the Kraken. You know, 2 of those teams within a point. So... You know, we're there, right where we kind of need to be with a team that made the playoffs last year. We're sitting in an okay spot. We just got to improve from here and see what we can do the second half of the year. Although, we're still only in the second year of this, if you want to call it a rebuild. And we're going to go from there, right? We're slowly turning things around. That's where we need to be, right? Slowly turning things around, getting guys in the right mindset, winning games, and hopefully eventually getting to the playoffs and getting the coveted prize of the Stanley Cup. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet. Or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. Turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.